this is my interpersonal communications presentation for this chapter. Okay. So the first vocabulary word that I am going to be talking about is gender roles. I don't know why the picture is a little blurry, but a gender role is defined as a set of expectations for an appropriate behavior that a culture typically assigns to an individual based on biological sex. An example of this would be that girls are supposed to be more emotional than men, and they're oftentimes supposed to be more quiet, and men are looked at as doing more of the talking, and also men are supposed to be more aggressive and athletic. And the picture kind of just it's a female and a male, and then in the second one they switch clothing. Okay, the second definition is personality, which is defined as the pattern of behaviors and ways of thinking that characterizes a person. An example of a personality trait would be an outgoing person who will talk to anybody versus a shy person who really doesn't like sharing their opinion if it's not needed. And if a person is quiet is also a trait, or another personality trait could be a person that's dramatic and likes to kind of blow things out of proportion. And my picture is blurry again, but it's just many people with different brains full of different things. Like this person with the puzzle pieces could be seen as more intellectual, and the person with the flowers could be seen as more creative. The third definition is a perceptual set. A perceptual set is a predisposition to perceive only what we want to or expect to perceive. An example of this would be when someone's talking about something that day, and then it happens later in the day, like they were talking about McDonald's, and then later in the day their mom brings them home McDonald's unexpectedly. They could see themselves as being psychic, whereas another person could just perceive this as being a random coincidence. And my picture is just a set of glasses because I thought that encapsulated the idea of perception. The next one is I statement. An I statement is a statement that claims ownership of one's thoughts or feelings. An example of an I statement would be, I just feel like sometimes we talk about the past too often. This could be used in a relationship of any kind, and it's telling the other person how they feel, and it's not placing accountability on the partner in the situation, but on your own self, which is the main point of an I statement. The next one is nonverbal channels. A nonverbal channel is the various behavioral forms that nonverbal communication takes. An example of this would be the eyes. The eyes are the windows to the soul, and you cannot hide very many things behind your eyes, where in words you can lie and claim things, but you can't really hide how you're feeling through your eyes, which is often a reason why nonverbal channels are considered more believable than verbal channels of communication. There are also facial expressions in nonverbal language, touch, paralanguage, which is tone, pitch, and gestures as well, which is the hand picture to the right. Empathetic listening is defined as listening in order to experience what another person is thinking or feeling. An example of this could be when your friend is telling you about their terrible day and you really just want to make them feel better, so you put yourself in their shoes and you try to understand exactly how they are feeling about the subject so you can be there for them to comfort them. Equity theory is defined as a theory predicting that a good relationship is one in which a person's ratio to costs and rewards is equal to that of the person's partner. An example of this could be one person pays for lunch one day and then the next person pays the other day, or one person drives one day and the other the next, where you are kind of having an equal balance in the relationship and no one is getting more out of it or less out of it. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis is defined as the idea that language influences the ways that members of a culture see and think about the world. An example of this would be that the Spanish culture has both feminine and masculine sexes attached to their words. So a young child owning a piggy bank for the first time would see this as a feminine object due to the gender attached to the word. So as a child would, they name most things. They would often choose a more feminine name rather than a masculine name if they chose to name their piggy bank. Self-esteem is defined as one's subjective evaluation of one's worth as a person. And I thought this picture right here was a great representation because it's a female looking into a mirror and she thinks highly of herself. So that means she has a very high self-esteem. People with higher self-esteems are often outgoing and are more willing to talk to a stranger than people with low self-esteems would. And the last definition I'm going to be talking about is the need to belong theory, which is a theory that says each of us is born with a fundamental drive to seek, form, maintain, and protect strong relationships. This could be explained as a person seeking an emotional relationship to fulfill us and keep our mental and physical health up to par. And this is my works cited page of my interpersonal communications book.